Shum Lernen, a block Gemara. Today's daf is daf Ayin Zayin, and we are continuing to learn the laws about work, an employee and an employer. If an employee can just walk away from the job, an employer can change his mind, and so on. We had an argument of Rab Deisa and the Chachamim. And the Chachamim say that as we'll go over right now, we had in the Brisa yesterday, so we can revisit that Brisa. The Chachamim say the employee has a right to walk away from the job, and if the employee walks away from the job, you got to pay them for whatever work that they did, the compensation. And even though it costs you more now to fill the rest of the day, too bad. And according to Abdeisa, if it costs you more to fill the rest of the day, you deduct it from the wages that you owe to the employee, even though you promised him a certain amount. If he walks off in the middle of the job, and so on. And we're talking about a schir yoy. A kabbalah cannot walk away from the job. We also said that if it's a dover of it, if you're causing the balabas a loss by walking away, then even the chacham mamayda that you have to hire somebody is pressing, then you can deduct it from their wages. So now the Gemara will explain. We'll go through the brises. So the Gemara is of Ayin Zayin Amar Aleph. Amar, about 20 lines from the top of the page. The second word of line. Amar. Amar, we learned Shamin Lehem Es Masha Osum. So the opinion of the Chacham is that the workers walk off the job, middle of the day, you got to pay them for the job that they did. Ketzad, for example, you promised them 2 sloim, which is 8 dinim for the day. They walked away noontime, so you owe them 4 dinim. But to find new workers to replace them, you cannot find for another 4 dinim or a seller. It'll cost you 6 dinim. Too bad. No yitzilhem seller. You nevertheless pay out the workers whatever they did, the full seller, and it's because they have. Because why? Because you cannot force a worker to work for you because he's not an evet. And Eved is somebody who's tied to you. These guys can walk away. Because Sabir Rabban of the opinion generally that Yad Poilal Yena. Workers' rights. Union rights, workers' rights. Actually, unions will learn in Babasa Daf Chester. But workers' rights. Then the Brisa said, that's explanation of them. Then the Brisa said, oh, Yigma Malachtan, but have a choice. If they want, they can continue working. They get the full pay. You need a Brisa to tell me that. I hired you for 2 sloim, and they say at noontime they want to walk away, and I convince them to stay. I paid him to his lime. So what's the chiddush? If you would have to hire somebody now for the second half of the day, it's 1.5 slime. So maybe now that you convince them, you cajole them, you persuaded them to remain, maybe you have to pay them the new rate. The plane walked away. But the Balabais went along and he implored with them, please come back. Mao would have thought, they can say, look, we came back under the understanding that you're going to pay the new rate, which is 6 dinim. Died to the tougher lanagra. We thought you're going to pay extra, the new rate. No, we made up in the morning. I'm getting 2 slime for the day. That's what we rely on. But the employer wins. When I said, I'll take you back and I'll improve, I meant I'll improve another thing. I didn't pay. I'll give you more food, more nash, more coffee, and so on and so forth. Big Malchek is showing him here what's going on. According to some of the Shainim, we're talking about what we didn't explicitly say. They just said we don't want to work anymore. We don't want to work anymore. And he according to Rashi, he implored them to come back. Okay, he implored them to come back. Even though there was understanding, they thought that he's going to pay them more, and he had nothing else in mind. But if they would have clearly said, we're not working for you anymore because the rate now is better, and he says, come back to me, I'll give you the better rate, for sure, then you have to pay the new rate because you made that up. That's somebody showing you.
But then in this case, what would be the stop? I mean, if we don't say Allah, what's the stop?
What do you pay them to do? They what do you mean?
They pay according to the original agreement.
Yeah, but
what's the any worker if it wasn't
absolutely nothing. But you're not Evid, you can't hold them down. Yeah, but who said they'll get another job? They're taking a risk. They're taking a risk. Okay, they're walking the middle of the day. What happens? Okay, you get a better rate, but there's no work out there because everybody's already employed for the day. The other Rishonim holds, there's 3 people. The other Rishonim holds, if he says, I will give you better, what happens then? Better means they are understanding better means better pay. And or do we say that because I meant better food? I feed you a better food. But there's a third opinion that says, even if you clearly stipulate, yes, I will pay you that 6 dinim, He doesn't have to because he says the fact is we made a smach, we made a kinyan in the morning. We made an agreement in the morning, and therefore we stick with it. The reason machlekes is shayni of all of these gemaras about employees walking away is only limited when there's no contract. In other words, I hire you verbally, and then what happens if there's a contract or made a kinyan, a commitment? Then you can't walk away. Or others say even with the kinyan, you can walk away because you're not an evid. Anyway, then it says seller. If they work the seller's worth, you got to pay him a seller. Again, that's obvious. You know, we're talking about this another case. The pay for a day was, let's say, for half a day was only 3 zuzim. That was less than what we agreed. And Vagrina between zuz, and I said, you know what? I'll give you an extra zuz for the half a day. I'll give you an extra zuz for half a day, and extra 2 zuz for the whole day. Right? So I made a special agreement with you. And then what happens was, now everybody's getting the same wage. Suddenly, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, the wages change. Now everybody's getting exactly that wage. They thought they were getting more than everybody else, and now they're getting equal to everybody else. So I would have thought, they can say, look, our agreement was not we're going to get 4 zuzim. Our agreement was, in the unwritten agreement was, you'll give us a zuz more than the going rate. So now that the going rate is no longer 3 zuzim, but the going rate is 4 zuzim, then you have to give 5 zuzim. That's what we would have thought, because the focus was not on the 4 zuzim. The focus was you're going to give us 1 zuz more than the going rate. And now that the rate changed, give us extra. That's what we would have thought. You said Tefez Zuz Avalon to give us. That's what Amalon. You said you'll give us an extra Zuz. So Tefez Zuz Avalon, give us an extra Zuz. Kamashlon, you can Kamashlon Domrele. He said to them, Ki Ami Luchu Tefez Zuzi. When I said to you an extra Zuz, the focus was you're getting 4 Zuzim. The Lavi Kim Luchu, you didn't get 4 Zuzim because you're only getting 3. Everybody's giving me 3. You wanted 4, so I gave you 4. No, Hasha Kim Luchu, you got your 4. We didn't clearly say. No, the question is what was the ikazach? They needed 4 zuzim, or they wanted to feel they're getting more than everybody else, and that's the dispute, and that's the kamashul one. Comes along Abdeisa, and he disagrees. He holds that no, the guy walks away, and it costs you more to hire somebody to finish the job. We're talking about there's no loss over here, but it costs you more to hire them to finish the job. I'm going to deduct it from the employee, the first employees. Abdei said, how much does it cost to finish the job? He gives them whatever's left, a shekel to dinim. Why? Because somebody holds yad poil al tachtoni. He holds all the way around. He holds the employer is the balabas. At the end of the day, he's the one who's paying out. He's the one who's paying, so therefore he has the right to say it. But then it says, or he gives them the choice. The same thing with the Chachamim say. What's the chiddush here? Obviously, finish the job, they get the full job. So here it'll be exactly the opposite of what we said before. These guys were desperate for money, so he paid them 1 zuz less than the going rate. And the balabais decided to walk away. And now here, this is the reverse case. The balabais decided to walk away, and the workers implored the balabas, please take us back. Mao Tema, so I would have thought he's taking them back. I took you back. Oh, sorry. What's talking about here is the rates went down. The rates went down. When I hired you, it was 4 losing for a half a day. But then, and the Balabas is the one who changed his mind. Balabas says, I don't want you anymore. And meanwhile, the rate went down. So the pastor, why did Balabas decide to leave them? Because he can now hire somebody to finish the job. We're not talking about double of it. There's no immediate whatever. So I can hire somebody and finish the job for cheaper. So I walked away. They embed me to come back. So now I would have thought that he can say, okay, I took you back, but the new rates. I'm going to give you a seller for the morning and 3 zuzim for the afternoon. Kamashlan, the Amri, they say no. We implored you to take it back. We thought, okay, you tackle the going rate is 3, but we're a little bit harder. But we're still on the same terms when we started off. So again, the Chacham and Abdeisa both agree that if we go back to the original terms we started in the morning. Is if we verbally change it, what happens then? Seller, they work a half a day and they work the seller. You give them a seller. Again, what's the chiddush according to Abdeisa? Pshita. They work the sellers half a day a seller. That's what you made up. What happened was they were desperate for money. You paid them less than everybody else, right? So what happened was, let's say everybody's getting 5 zuzim for half a day, and you gave them 4 zuzim for half a day. Right? If they only worked a half a day, the going rate then would have been 5 zuzim. But these guys were desperate for a job, desperate for money. So they said, we'll take a lower pay, just get us in. So he said, okay, I'll give you 4 zuzim. Ula Saif at the end, Zolavidite. Everybody's wages went down now to 4 zuzim. So I would have thought, the Balabas now would argue. The main thing was you're desperate for money, you're going to get less than everybody else. Well, now everybody else is getting 4 zuzim. I'll pay you 3 zuzim. Because the focus is on less than everybody else. You're desperate. We made up the kvetch wasn't the 4 zuzim. The kvetch was that you're prepared to take less than the going rate. Well, the going rate now is less. I'm going to give you less. I'll take another zuz off. Give you 3. They'll say to him, the law have the kimlach at the time because you didn't have workers and so we wanted to get the job. We were trying to entice you to give us the job rather than anybody else, and we were prepared to take a cut in the wages. Unemployment was high, and take us in. Hash the kimla. But now, just because everybody else is, you got your 3 with your lower rate, and that's what you're giving us. We're not charging any more than that, so therefore give it to us. That's the You remember? I remember my sister was learning computers. It was very hard to get a job if you just came out of wherever you were studying. So they it was like from Eid, and it was Davidson. He had a very big computer company. So he would give every from person a job, wouldn't pay you a cent, but he would train you for 6 months. And then on your resume, exactly, he had a big company, and many people got the jobs through that. Through that. So that's what would compared to a cut, he actually didn't pay anything. I don't think he paid anything, or minimal. But he opened the door for everybody. I mean, that was a big mitzvah. Actually, he lost because he had to spend two people.
2 workers now. One has to train the other.
Yeah, so he took off the time. Oh, you're a cynic. Well, Rav says halacha kerav deisa. The halacha of deisa what that yad hapoil ala tachtenim. Again, it's not talking about where there's a dover of it. Everyone agrees that yad hapoil ala tachtenim, and we'll soon see it's not so simple. Did Rav say the yad hapoil? Yad hapoil doesn't mean that the hapoil can't really change his mind. If he walks off the job, it'll cost him. I think when Rav says that, we had that Rav said clearly that a person can walk away even in the middle of the day. It could be said we're not an Eved. If you leave it as avodim, you can't, that a worker can walk on the job, otherwise he's an Eved. Maybe Rabbeisa holds the difference between a kabbalah and chidus. Maybe like follows: there's a difference when does Rabbeisa is only talking about a contractor. Rabbeisa is saying that a contractor cannot walk off the job because exactly that's what you get paid for. You get paid nothing. I pay you for a job, not for the hour or whatever. But a worker is and not only that, a contractor is working for himself. You gave him $100 for the job, and any time he puts in, it's up to him. So he's working for himself. He's not your Eved. So therefore, he can't walk away. But a poil, he's working for you. He's an hour. When he finishes the job, and he get paid for the day. So then it's an Eved if you don't let him go off. So maybe there's a chil Eved kabbalah. So when does Rav say poil yochalach boy? Rav Deisa agrees. Rav Deisa, when he says that you cannot change your mind, of course your mind is talking about a contractor. Says the Gemara, "Umi shainilon." You approved to Rav Deisa shainilon. Approved Rav Deisa holds is no different than a contractor and employee. By the time we learned, let's say you hire a worker or the chatziyah middle of the day, shama shemes lemes. Something happened totally out of his control, but he can't work anymore. You heard that Will's member's family just passed away, or something. He got very sick. Or so this im sachru. This is the kind of comment. Im sachru. If he's an employee, you got to pay him whatever work he did. He doesn't get paid beyond that because he didn't work. But whatever he did, he did. If he's a contractor, you pay him whatever he did as well because it's an inus. And therefore, we're not going to penalize him that he should lose out. So now, that's what it says in the Brisa here. So the Brisa clearly said there's no difference in a socher and a kabbalah. Who is this? Mani. Remember Rabbanan said that even if there's no, even if a poil can change his mind, and over the other yonder, Rabbanan said before already that you pay him if he wants to walk off the job because he doesn't like you. You still have to pay him for that. Why does he only talk about a case of an onus? Man, either Rabbanan, why talk about onus? Kilo onus nami. Rabbanan said the employee has the right to walk off the job. Ella lav, it must be Rabdeisa. Rabdeisa told you cannot walk off the job, but if there's an accident, you could. And what does it say clearly? Said there's no difference whether you're an employee, schiyim, or whether you're a contractor. Ushmam Rabdeisa so the kasha of the Hakadav say the loch Rabdeisa, and then the pastor can walk off the job. On Rachmas, obviously Rav does not agree with Rabdeisa in every respect. One way of learning is, okay, the first answer is, who said this? Remember we said before that if the balabas will incur a loss, he must finish. Let's say the water's threatening to flow, and he has to fix the dam. And if you walk away, it's an emergency. That everyone agrees that a poil cannot walk off the job because you're like a mazik. You're causing, once you took it upon yourself, you're responsible to finish the job. I'm giving an example here. But there's no money. Okay, or let's say like that. Where there's money involved, yes. Or we even had an example of a flute for a chas and a gala. Yeah. Okay, so therefore, right now that's Gemara's answer right now. It says the Gemara Tanan in our Mishnah. If you remember, after our Mishnah goes all through three different cases. So the Mishnah finishes off. Which you said talk about red dye and blue. You hire it for red and blue, or vice versa. Then whichever is less, the input or the value. That's what you pay. The Mishnah repeats, reiterates. Change your mind. Why the Mishnah change your mind? Is the town follows Abuda. Let's see mine. What's he coming to include? My love, la asuye poil, obviously is coming to include a schir yaim, a worker, and like the the beginning of the Mishnah says umnin is generally a term you use if you want to make a contrast. Umnin will be the kablan, and a poil is a non-poil of the imamana. A poil is somebody who works on the clock on the day. And then it says here, so in the beginning the Mishnah says so we covered contractors. Now the Mishnah repeats it again. Not repeating. He's telling you, and the same thing applies to a pile. So clearly our Mishnah says that according to Rav Deisa, there's no difference between a pile and chiyah, and we're not talking about a dover over here. El Rav Deisa says in what he writes. Tarti Kama. Rav Deisa holds side by pile, side by kablan, yodel tachtena. That even a pile shouldn't walk off the job. Rav agrees with him when it comes to a contractor, you cannot walk off the job. But he argues that a pile can walk off the job as long as it's not a dover of it. Or I can tell you, no, that really Rav Deisa Taka only holds regarding a kablan. What's Shatna Mishnah Kolachayza? Not talking about an employer. We're talking about a whole new thing now. We're talking about a sale, commercial sale. We talked about selling a property, and then the buyer or the seller changes their mind. We're talking about, obviously there wasn't yet full kinyan, but full kinyan you can't change your mind. So this is what happens. What are we talking about here? You sold a property. There's a big shiloh, believe it or not. If let's say the worker had to leave because of an illness, right? And we just said over here that Abdeisa agrees. Abdeisa was an illness. You have to, you let him go. Yeah. We said an illness makes no difference. Or a kabbalah, if it's an illness, a member's family died, he got sick, he can walk off the job. According to Abdeisa. How much do you pay? Doesn't spell out here. It just says so the passion you're paying for the work he did, and that's it. There's other shainim will hold, maybe not. A builder goes bankrupt, you bring another builder to finish the job. Builder is a kabbalah, and you work out whatever it costs. But we had a Gemara where it says we had a Gemara Bava in the beginning. If a Eved Ivri becomes sick, 3 years into the job, you board him for 6 years. 3 years he became a chayla. Too bad. It becomes Shemitah, he's free. You didn't get any service out of him for 3 years. If he was sick the whole 6 years, we said over there, if he could do a malacha kala, it's good enough. He can weave or sew, it's good enough. So maybe it's like Sakinaitis, yeah. So maybe over here also, so maybe over here also, if it's an oinus, you got to pay him out. What's the chilik between the payo and its eved? So there's a big machlek there. So someone to say the difference is very simple. An eved is not hired for a particular job. You hired him to be your eved. So if he could do at least something, Okay, so he's in debit. Here, I hired you to do this particular job. If you cannot do the particular job, I have nothing from you. So therefore, I don't have to pay you out. So the Ksasa Choshe wants to learn from that. If that's the word, that's the Raiva, how the Raiva explains. The Choshe wants to learn from that. If that's shot, then if you hired a person to be your gopher, you didn't hire for a particular job. You're my PA. Your job is to take care of all my things. Then the guy becomes sick or she becomes sick. You have to not only pay for all the work they did, but whatever the contract is, done for contract 2 years, you got to pay out the rest of the year. That's what the Raiva, big chiddush. Sorry. Others say the difference in an Eved and an employee. An Eved, you Gufa Kanala, you own the Eved. He still, if he doesn't work for you, you still own him. So you got something. Here, I don't own the worker. I just all I have from you is your work. But if you're not doing the work, I have nothing, zero. So I don't have to pay you for the rest. So I don't care what kind of worker you are, I don't have to pay you for the rest. Anyway, this is my clicks. Further, you sold the field to your friend. The Elizuz for $1,000. The Nasalem Boys, Mehen, Messiah. He gave you only $200 down payment. So according to Rab Shimon, if I now, so what happens? Do you own the field or you don't own the field? So in Goyish law, you give a deposit. All it is a deposit. You don't own the house yet. Exactly. You don't own the house till you pay the full amount. How do we look at a law? So it's like this. If you write in the star, in the document, you write that the field is sold to you and you owe me $800, we'll consider as if I received the full money and I lent it back to you. So now the moicha became a malva, and now the keh became the loiva. So now we're talking about a borrower and a lender. So then he owns the field and he owes money. He's bisma. Now then afterwards, the moicher is chayzer by he had no right. You already sort of then yad lekechel yona. What do you mean yad lekechel yona? The fact is he only gave $200. So what do you mean yad lekechel yona? It's his choice. Ratza amalei tenli ma'isei. He said, "Give me back my $200 I gave you." I tenli karka keneged ma'isei. Now, what do you mean tenli karka keneged ma'isei? It doesn't mean what you think it means. Give me a sliver of land equal to $200. It means that because that for sure you can do. It means that I want my money back. If you don't have the money, then pay me with property as a payment for the loan, not as a purchase. And I'm getting a sliver of land. It's as a payment of the loan, and mine have committed. Because if it's a purchase, he can give you the worst part of the land. If it's a big piece of land, but you have some land that's better, part of the land is better soil, and part of the land is worse soil. Well, you're going to get $200 of land. We didn't make our wish $200. I'm going to give you a little bit of basket. I can give you the very worst part of the land. But if it's a loan you owe me, remember now that you owe me. So now when he says give me back the money, the moicha now becomes a borrower because he has $200 of mine in his possession. You become the borrower. I'm the lender, and therefore, yeah, you're give me a premium land. Which land? Now normally a lender and a borrower is a bainness. You get the middle, the average. Here the Gemara says, I can ask you for the best part of the land. We'll soon see why. But the Lekech says, I cannot go ahead with the deal. Then Yad Moichel Yoin, Moichel is the one who's upper hand, the seller. So Ratzam Lehechem will say, here, take back the $200 you gave me. And Ratzam Lehechem will say, you know what? I don't have the money to give you back, but I'm going to give you back a piece of property for it. But here, because you walked out, you changed your mind, we're penalizing you. You're going to get the worst of the land. What do you mean you're right? You're right. I need plenty. I sold him for $1,000. But honestly, besides he gave me $200. I'm going to lend him back $800, as if he bought the whole property, and I'm lending him back $800. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I missed it. Yeah, I skipped a line. We say we tell them, don't change your mind. In other words, let's turn it into a full sale. In the first opinion, we didn't write really in the star anything yet. Sorry, I told you before I was so much. First opinion, you didn't write anything in the star yet. You just gave me $200 deposit. I said, I'm lending it back to you. I said, I'm lending it back to you. So therefore, you can change your mind because the deal hasn't really happened yet. Now, Shimon says to avoid all this, Kate said, you're right. And he plenty, I sold him for $1,000. The Nusli member saying that he gave me $200. I will treat it as if he bought the entire field already. It's his. And I'm lending it back $800, and he owes it to me now. So now the field belongs entirely to the buyer, but he owes me $800, and he can pay me in a month, in a year, whatever. I have to chase him up according to the laws of borrowing and lending. Let's understand the beginning. Mehechin might be many idiots. Right? And we think not even from this property, but I go to the seller and I look for his best property because now he's a borrower. He has my $200. He doesn't want to give it back. He doesn't have to give it back to me, and take his premium field. Why? The lender now Sachakel owes me $200. He's like about Chayv, but now about Chayv gets Bainis. Like furthermore, why doesn't he just get from the land that I gave you $200? Why give me another property? When he said idiot, he meant from the very field that I bought, that we're talking, that we engage here in this commercial activity. From that field, I take the best part, or in the other part where the Meicha changes mind, I take from the best part, and the Lekeh changes mind, you take from the worst part. Rabbi says a very interesting thing. He says, no, he's entitled to get the premium. Now, who was entitled? We had before. We had Baba Kama. A Balchayv gets Bainis, a Ksubas Isha gets the Buddhis, but a Nizik gets Idiots. Says Abba Yaakov, the Meicha just damaged the Lekech. How's the Lekech going to raise $1,000? You only had $200. Obviously, he doesn't have money. He's not cash rich. So how do you get $1,000? How does he expect to get $1,000? He's going to sell. No, he's going to sell all of his little properties that he has, or sell everything that he has, in order to be able to pay the $1,000. Now, the only reason why he sold those properties is because he wants to get this field. Now that you change his mind, he never wanted to sell those properties or whatever else he sold in order to get this money. You caused him a hezek. Therefore, he has a din of a nizik that he can collect mid years. I told him immediately the chashav stam. Mandas of an ada ba'alfa zuzah. Generally, a person who sells a property for buys a property for $1,000, you don't have that kind of cash around. Azuli maizel. Not only that, not only you sell property you don't want to sell or thing you don't sell, you actually discount it so you can raise the money quickly. Now, are you changing your mind? You're not selling me the property. You caused me a hefsid. You caused me a loss. Now, the Shemir says it's not a real mazik. You just a grumma. You caused him a loss. You didn't go physically and break his windows. You caused him a loss. And generally by Nazikin, we say that you don't pay for a cause. But in this case, we penalize you. There's back said Malamli after the case goes like time in the Koslach, only because he wrote it. Hold the Koslach. It sounds like to me if he didn't write it, he just said it. Like Connie, not kind of. The guy sounds from me, if he gave me $200 deposit, he's not kind of the property. Let me ask you a question. But Tanya, didn't we learn? No, it's only because I wrote to you that the $800 I'm lending back to you. It's only because I said that I'm lending back to you. That's the only reason why you kind of the whole property. If I wouldn't have said I'm lending back to you, then you only would have been kind of equal to $200, but not the rest of the property. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Why? But Tanya, we learn. If I give you a mashkin security, I said, look, we want to make this deal, and I say, look, I'm committing myself to this deal. So therefore, I say to you here, this is a mashkin. And if I change my mind, I don't go ahead with it, keep the mashkin. And the other guy says, I'm also committed to the deal. And the vendor says, if I change my mind, I'm going to pay it double whatever the mashkin was worth. This guy might know whatever they said. Why? I made them a before already. When each one said what they said, because they were sure they're going to go ahead with it. So they didn't really mean that you can keep the mashkin or you pay me double. That's called an asmachta. And asmachta, according to Rabbi Yossi, is kind of. Rabbi Yehuda doesn't agree, but Rabbi Yossi holds that. So Rabbi Yehuda says, no, I hold asmachta doesn't work. That all the commitment is really only equal to the value of the bird. Let's say we talk about a property worth $1,000. The mashkin I gave is worth $100. So all I really acquired in the property is the value of $100. Because that's keneged the mashkin. The rest is merely asmachta. Rav Shimon says, when do we say this? Only what he says is that when do we say that you only get the equivalent amount of the security? That when he gave what do you call it? He said to him, when he gave it as a mashkin, Arvani Yakin, he said to him, a while later, I'm going to give you this as a mashkin, not as a down payment for the property. I didn't say, no, but of course I'm giving you as a commitment to prove my commitment. Here's my mashkin. But what happened? But I gave you the mashkin as a down payment. If I gave you a down payment, let's say $500 for $1,000 thing, if I give a down payment, then I'm kind of the field. I feel the kamach on him. Rav Shimon clearly says that if I gave you a down payment, I'm kind of the entire field. So it's a problem. Before Rab Shimon said, if I wouldn't have turned around and said I'm lending it, if I didn't clearly say, okay, the field is yours and I'm lending it back to $800 because you owe me $800, otherwise you'll only kind of equal to the down payment. Here, Rab Shimon clearly says that no, if I gave you the mashkin as a down payment, not as a commitment to my pledge, if I gave it to you as a down payment, then I'm kind of the entire field, then I owe you the balance of the money. I can pay you after a year, 2 years, like a normal loan. So clearly, what's going on here? Like Kasha. The big difference is as follows. Why is the seller selling it? If the seller is desperate for money and you gave him only a down payment, he's not giving you away the field yet. What happened? You don't give him another year. He needs the money tomorrow. So a cold man, I don't have the full money. It's no sale. And that's what the first of Shingol is talking about. Only if he clearly said, I'm giving, even though he's desperate for money, if he clearly says, look, okay, the rest is a loan. I guess he's only desperate for $200. Hard to look on it, but if he's not desperate for money and you gave me a down payment, then you're kind of the whole field and the rest is all. Because I'm whatever. Hi, man, if I was talking to my friend, because I have we know the guy is desperate, he needs cash, like Connie. Then I'm not kind of until I give you the until I give you the full cash. Until I give you the full cash. Like I have Connie, but if he didn't, if it was not desperate for money, then you are kind of. Big machlek is a shayim. What happens? Okay, if I gave you if I gave you part of the money and you're desperate for the money, I'm not kind. If I gave you part of the property, if I gave you part of the money, you're not desperate for the money, then I'm kind, but I owe you the rest. What about metalton and I made a kinyan meshicha? It is big machlek is a shayim. So I'm going to say even if I made a kinyan meshicha, which is the kinyan, but since you're desperate for money, then you are not agreeing to allow me to be kind of your merchandise with the meshicha until I pay you fully out. Others say no. Once I made a kinyan meshicha, it usurps your rights, and therefore it doesn't matter if you're desperate for money. If you allow me to make a kinyan meshicha, in other words, Rav is only talking about where I gave you money, nothing else. And what happens if I give you money? I walk away. I'm even mishapara by metalton or by karka. I'm kind already. Okay, well, I'm not kind of. Well, my Rabbi is a Rabbi. Hi, man. If you owe $100 to your friend, you paid $1 at a time. It's considered a payment. At least they tell them you'll have time. I can use the bulk money now. You're drip feeding me. I'm spending it. I get nothing. Yeah. You caused me a loss, but it's okay. Who got the person? There was a person that sold. Now, one difficulty in the Gemara is sometimes to know when chamra means a donkey or when chamra means wine. And the Rishonim here clearly, Rashi says it's a donkey, and Rishonim ask, how's he know? Maybe it means wine. So, oh yeah. So why does Rashi say donkey? So they want to say that this din that we learn right now, which is that if I'm desperate for money, it's not a kinyan. It's only a donkey, something where there's a certain kinship, there's a certain relationship with this particular item. So I wouldn't sell it if not for the fact that I'm desperate for money. So therefore, it's not a kinyan until you give me my full money. But if I sell you wine, no, yeah, donkey. I have, you know exactly how it works. You know how much you can take, and so on and so forth. You have to break him in. But when it comes to wine, wine is wine to be sold. If I'm a merchant of wine, so or to sell, let's say I'm a merchant for wine. Therefore, there's no relation between me and this wine. Then even if I'm desperate for money, you're kind of. And if I saw some of the training, they spell the word chamra, the donkey. No, I never saw this before. Ches mem aleph, reish aleph, chamora. And it seems from there that the quote, this is the ritual of the Ramban. It seems from there that all over Shas, whenever it says donkey in their Gemaras, it says ches mem aleph reish aleph, and wine is ches mem reish aleph. In our Gemaras, there's no difference. You always got to sit there and work it out. What are we talking about here? A donkey or a barrel of wine? Anyway, left behind one zuz because I have enough for the zuz. The question is very simple. He needs $100. You gave him 99, and you're desperate. Remember, we just said if you're desperate, it's not a sale until he gets his full money. What about such a minuscule amount? $1. He's sure $1. What happens then? Looked into it. I gave them my Connie. What happens in this case is it's so minor. He's Michael and he's kind or not. $1 is like $100. Cold man, you didn't give me the full amount, but like Connie, not kind. But I heard Connie. Forget, I heard the same Rabbi said that if you showed only $1, small amount, you're kind. On Malay, so Rabashi said it's not a contradiction. Targim Shemaiticha, your sugi is talking about the Meiches Adei of Neirasa. You sold the field because the field is bad. You're happy if you have a sale. You're happy to sell. Then, even if you didn't get your full money, even if you're desperate for money, even if you get full money, you're happy. You want the sale to take place straight away. You don't want the guy to come on, look at the field, and say, oh, it's terrible. What I buy it there and change his mind. But if it's that, so that's a difference. Still go together. That's what Rava says you're kind, even though you didn't get a full amount of money. But if it's a good field and I won $100, then if I didn't get my full $100, there's no kinyan. We'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow. Have a good day.